Welcome to video number 8. This is search parameters. I'm going to talk about the search parameters you should use when finding people, being proactive, and looking for programmers and inviting them to your job posts. So now that your job post is up, most likely people are applying to it, but not everyone is going to apply to it. So you need to find the people that might work well with you and get them and invite them to your job post to apply. So you need to figure out who to work with and who not to. So let me show you how this works. Okay, so real quick, up at the top here, click on this one here, click on freelancers and type in WordPress plugin. Now you could try WordPress plugin, you could try WordPress developer, whatever. As long as it has WordPress plugin or developer in it, you should be good to go. Now keep in mind that there are many different types of WordPress freelancers. There are ones that are really good at web design. There are ones that will say they're WordPress developers and they are really not. So you really, at the end of the day, have to do your due diligence. But anyways, if you type that in, you're going to see this. You want to click on filters right here. And let's begin to filter. Now, there are two types of search parameters. One for those of you who are on a budget, and two, those of you who want premium programmers. You're willing to pay whatever money it costs to get those programmers. So let's start first with those of you who are on a budget but want a good programmer. You don't want a cheap programmer. So for those of you, I would choose 1,000 earned at least, 90% or above, definitely. 10 below, that's fine if you're hiring from the Philippines or countries where $10 an hour is actually a high paying job. Just keep in mind though, if you hire an American or United Kingdom and it's $10 or below, you begin to question the quality there. All right, you gotta think, is this person willing to work for you and survive and live, or are they starving and they're desperate, but they're not premium? So you kind of have to think about that, but you'll be able to see as you begin to search. But $10 below, if you're looking for Philippines, that's fine. $10 to $30 is fine as well. 100 hours build is a must. I definitely don't want to work with anybody who has 1+ hours build only. Now, you got to think about it. If you do choose this and you have a lot of programmers have worked fixed term projects, meaning they haven't worked hourly, but they've worked on projects. Now, if you click that and you look through the applications and you see that somebody only has like 10 hours build, but then they have 20 fixed rate projects, then make sure you look at them. Just keep that in mind. But search parameters, I would do at least 100. In the category, doesn't really matter. You can choose software development if you want to. Now, English level is very, very important. You want to make sure that you find a programmer that can understand you the moment you tell them, like, oh, I want this feature, I want that feature, or when it comes to fixing the bugs, you need to communicate that. I've hired people that have had conversational English and it's just a mess. You have to talk back and forth and nothing ever gets done. So normally from now on, I normally try to choose fluent or native or bilingual. And then freelancer type, I usually do independent. I don't really want to work with agencies, because with an agency, you might work with somebody one day and you might work with somebody else a different day. So then you have to repeat yourself and nothing ever gets done. And with agencies, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll post somebody who has really good ratings, but in reality, you're not going to get that person. So I always do independent. I want to work with an individual one-on-one. It's just more intimate that way and easier to communicate. And last activity, I always do within 2 weeks. This basically tells me that I want a programmer that is active on Upwork who has worked on Upwork in the last 2 weeks. If you choose within 2 months, They could have spent time on Upwork 2 months ago. That means they're not active. All right. So these are the basic parameters that I would use for somebody that is on a budget. If you're not on a budget and you're just like, you know what, I want to spend as much money because I want to get the best programmer, period. All right. So if you're that type of person, you definitely want to keep all these same, except for the 100K earned. I would put that there. I would put 90%. I would put 30 to 60. To be honest, if a programmer charges 30 to 60, they're normally pretty good. You don't need to go beyond that. 30 plus even, or 25 plus, usually that's a really good programmer. So you could start from here, 25 plus, and go from there. 1,000 hours build, I would choose that. And you can even do within the last 6 months only. What you're doing is you're trying to make it so that you get the best of the best. All right, so native and bilingual, definitely. Independent, definitely. And within 2 weeks. So really what changed was the price, 10K, and this one right here. Everything else is pretty much the same. So now, if we close the filters, you can see that we have this amount of people. Now, we see that some are bidding about 1875 and all that. We can go back over here, filter, and choose someone who's 30 and above. We can see that there are 32 programmers here. And there we go. So now we have the best of the best. We know that they're 90% job success or above, which means they've completed other jobs successfully. You can see how much they earn. So these are the best of the best. And you can always go through and double check, like you can see here. Full stack developer, WordPress, expert in WordPress. So sometimes with Upwork, you don't get the exact, but let's click on this for example. And what I always do is I always look at their past history. If their past history shows that they have developed WordPress plugins, great, that's good. If no, I move on to the next person. And that's the search parameters that I use.